Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about a ton of common mistakes Battlefield players make in their gameplay, how to improve at, well, not doing some of them, and hopefully this will improve or just, increase enjoyment in your experience playing Battlefield 6. We're going to be going over a ton of stuff in this video, so if you enjoy content like this, if you want to see more of it, hit the sub button, hit the like button, and I just started my coaching back up for BF6. So grateful for all the people that signed up for that. Been having a ton of fun, so that'll be in the description and the pinned comment if you guys want to check that out. There are a bunch of reviews from real people on there, so first thing we're going to start is crosshair placement. So crosshair placement, what is it? Well, I have a crosshair right here, and a lot of Battlefield players play the game like this. And this is something that's very easy to do. Like, this isn't necessarily, well, it isn't necessarily the most worrisome thing in most Battlefield players' mind. They're like, well, I'm just playing the game. But what they don't realize is when they're running around looking at the ground like this, they're basically taking themselves out of gunfights before they even start. You know, just as an example, say there's a guy, on this corner. I can hardly hold myself on looking at the ground. But say there's a guy like at this corner right here, and you get in a gunfight, right? You already have to make an aim adjustment before the fight even starts. And it's very likely that if the player you're fighting is already preaiming that angle or is just a decent player, you're going to be dead even before you get your crosshair off the ground. So the way you remedy this is you really have to pay active attention to where your crosshair placement is relative to the map and to players. And you have to understand, I suppose, where chest level is on the player model relative to the map and just all these positions. And it's really difficult in Battlefield. It isn't as straightforward as some other games because of just how dynamic Battlefield is as a game. I mean, even this little step changes chest level. Like, the preaim isn't here anymore. It's here, right? Somewhere in here. And stairs as well. The preaim isn't here anymore. It's here. And when you go up these stairs, it's here now. So, when you try to combine all of this stuff into one, and you have to dynamically adjust your crosshair all the time across all these angles, it can get really overwhelming. Even situations like this, where, let's say I'm peeking a guy from here or something. Chest level coming out of this doorway is no longer here. It's like somewhere in here now. So you basically have to understand how to dynamically adjust your crosshair based on these positions here. The next thing I want to go over is just how to peek some areas or just how to scan a little better. A lot of Battlefield players have trouble with understanding like lines of sight and where they're exposed to and just how to peek certain things. So let's just take this big wide open area, for instance, and let's say you have knowledge of people in like this area here. Let's say you're crossing it, and you're just like, okay, maybe there's a guy in this corner. A lot of people would sort of just do the thing, and they would, like, run in here. But what you want to do is you want to be careful first, and you want to really, number one, have the map knowledge down. And number two, apply that map knowledge and clear it in a intelligent way. So you're going to want to go in here and just sort of very slowly, just scan the area ever so slightly, just continue crossing over, and then, now you can cross over. As another example, if you were to peek, let's say, like this area over here, I kind of think of it like an order of operations, if that makes sense. Because I know the map, I know that when I cross this corner, there's going to be this here. So I will sort of, maybe throw an aim over here. I'll, like, look at the close corner, and then as I move up here, I'll just sort of continue to pie the angle, or, peek things in an order that makes sense, rather than, overwhelm myself with a bunch of angles by, like, not really taking care of what I'm looking at. Another thing I see that's really common is a lot of Battlefield players don't cross gaps quickly enough when they have the opportunity. Or they might get frozen and like not want to cross like this area at all, even if there's a smoke grenade. You really have to take your opportunities in Battlefield And one of the fastest way to gap close or to cross a gap is to understand how to jump slide. I mean, this is as easy as it sounds. You get a sprinting start, you jump, and then you land sliding, and then you jump out of it. So it is sprint, jump, slide, jump. And what this does is it lets you gain momentum, and you can cross gaps way quicker, especially if you jump off of something like this. You can cross these gaps super fast rather than, you know, running across it with a weapon like this, or maybe like even I've seen people even cross it like this, where they sort of look around and hip fire. It's just not good. If you want to cross an area, do it in a quick and effective way, one that minimizes your exposure. Even here, if you want to just cross that alley, just hit a jump slide, get some momentum going. Now, another thing that is super important in Battlefield gameplay is understanding how to pre-aim things and how to peek corners properly. There are a ton of different ways to do this in BF6. We'll start with pre-aiming first. Pre-aiming areas is really map knowledge dependent. Like, just for instance, this area, I know to pre-aim, like, I guess, like, somewhere next to this, to, like, pre-aim this head glitch here, just because I've played so much that I know, like, people like to sit here, or they like to look down here. So again, this is very map knowledge dependent, but in general, let's say you are wanting to push somebody that's, like, I don't know, like on this doorway, right? This doorway here. And he's, like, holding you here. If you wanted to peek him from the staircase, you should already be pre-aiming the doorway, basically through the wall before even up the staircase. And of course, you can like get more aggressive with it. You can like jump through the door frame. But in general, you're not going to want to do these things that I see all the time where people like walk in and then adjust, because he's already aiming at you. So what you need to do is you need to understand that not only do you have to basically be aiming at him through the wall, let's just assume you have like prior knowledge, right? Minimap, whatever, he shot. You have to be aiming at the doorway through the wall, but you also have to understand like what angle of the door he is on. And this is where like having a wide preaim or like a tighter preaim fits in. A wide preaim would kind of be like actually aiming at the left side of the door, because you'd have to peek in like farther into the building. But like a tighter preaim would actually just be peeking like this crack here, and understanding like the different preaims based on just where your crosshair is something that people should really focus on improving on, because it can really just win you some insane gunfights when people are just not ready for you to just know exactly like where they're holding and what they're doing. Yeah, they just fucking die basically. Now how to peek corners. This is interesting in BF6 because I find sometimes if somebody is close to a corner, sometimes the old bot walk and just like throw a little crouch in there with hip fire is really good. Like if someone's close to this corner, you just want to come in and just like shoot him. That works really well in this game. It actually probably works better than any other Battlefield game I've played. And then in general, you kind of just, you don't want to do the thing where like you just wide swing all these corners and, you know, you strafe in one direction. Really make sure you're AD strafing, maybe throwing some crouches in there. But the biggest thing here is really understanding how to pre-aim, you know, having some map knowledge at your disposal so you are moving through the map and aiming at areas in an intelligent manner that is really going to catch people off guard. And this is really the #1 thing that gets you kills in Battlefield. If you are aware enough to move through the map and to aim at areas in a very aware and intelligent way, people are just going to walk into your crosshair and you're just going to farm kills, guys. So again, portal codes in the description. Learn these map areas as best as you can. I know it's like sweaty, but if you want to improve, this is really going to help you improve if you learn how to #1 crosshair placement and #2 pre-aiming and all the angles and stuff. All right, next thing we're going to be going over is sort of understanding lines of sight and how to prioritize certain lines of sight. We're on Mirak Valley here for a reason, because this map just has insane lines of sight. I mean, people can be all up on these rooftops tons of vision from everywhere. And it can be difficult for players to, you know, be playing the map and be running around, and, you know, they'll forget about people up here, and they'll be pushing like an objective, and they'll get shot in the back and sniped, and it's just very, people feel like they can't really move around the map. And this is where understanding like map flow and map knowledge and enemy positions really matters. You should be trying to gather enemy positions in your spawn screen from this overhead view. Like in Conquest, there's a flag over here, there's a flag in this building, and I believe over here and here. So let's say these 3 flags right here are enemy controlled, and these 2 are friendly controlled, just to make it simple. There's obviously going to be rotations from here to here between these buildings, so this is going to be a hot spot. There's going to be rotations from your team to here, but also from their team to your flag here. And just mapping these routes out in your head can help you understand what areas are important, and that can help you understand the important lines of sight. Now, in terms of breaking line of sight, it really just comes into your like a route and positioning and the way you approach things. But in general, I really try to pay attention to like the outer edges of things. And if you are positioning well, you should pretty much always be in a scenario where like you have something to just like break line of sight with, right? That's what you should be really prioritizing. So like, let's say people are, you know, on this rooftop. Even when you're pushing up, let's say you're not even getting shot yet. Even when you're pushing up, you should maybe just be really annoying and just like, okay, like we'll just go through here, we'll break this. Like maybe I run through this crate instead of in the open. And then like, let's say there's a guy that's annoying me on like, he's like peeking me from here, and I know that, but I'm still gonna run at the building. I just want to run here and then like run immediately to the left. Why does that work? Well, if I were to run to the right, you can see he still has line of sight. He can still look straight down on me there. But if I run to the left and I gap close, right, and I jump slide, it cuts off line of sight way faster. So I don't know if that helped, but hopefully it did. If you enjoy the content, hit the like button, hit the sub button, and check out the coaching. Hopefully I'll see some of you guys there.